Chapter 33. Homeward Bound. On the drive, Earl expressed how it was such a cool gesture for Brian and Shari to name their baby after Bryn, and with the middle name being the last name of their father that none of them still carried. You know, it is the least they could do. They probably made the baby on my bed, Earl said jokingly but kind of not jokingly. Lillian thought what Earl said was hilarious about where the baby was potentially made. She thoroughly appreciated the gesture of Brian and Shari to give the baby his sibling's last name for a middle name. It also tickled her for the baby's name as Brinton to be so similar to Bryn's name. She smiled from within, and a smile appeared on her face, too. Something in Lillian wished that Bentley could have been there to see the children as grown-ups. Well, except for her little nugget, Bryn. That would surely break his heart to pieces if he was alive. She also knew that Bentley would be proud of the man Erland had become. So I think you probably told me most of what I longed to know. There is just one more unresolved sliver of information that I have always wondered about. Why in the heck is my name Erland? Other than myself, I have never heard of the name in my life. Well, you were named after your father's friend, Erland Jordal. Lil told a story to Erland that was told to her by her late husband when he was trying to convince her that they were to name their son after his friend, a friend of his who saved his life. Ben was 17 years old when he was hiking with his friend Erland, Ernie for short. Ben and Ernie were in the Scouts together from the time they were 6 years old. That's how they originally met. They went through Scouts together, and they also spent summers together at the same summer camp. Each of them attended private school, but different private schools. Ernie and Ben hung out closely each summer and for all the scouting events during the year, but they never went to school together. School is where you typically learn the government names of your friends. There was a group of 10 guys hiking a hilly trail in Costa Rica. Ben and Ernie were part of that group. All the guys were strong, experienced, and had prepared themselves with ample amounts of food, water, and first aid kits. One simple mishap turned the entire hike into a disaster and almost tragic turn of events. When the group stopped for a snack and a rest, Ben placed his canteen on the side of a large rock he was seated on. The team had traveled a fairly short distance when Ben went for a drink of water and noticed he had no canteen. The other guys sat and waited while Ben and Ernie went back to the spot to get the canteen. Distracted by a mischievous monkey frolicking among the trees, Ben got his foot twisted within the root system of an enormous tree. It tripped him, causing him to lose control and fall down the hill, breaking his femur. Ernie stayed with Ben when he broke his leg. Ernie set Ben's leg with a branch and some vines. Ernie made sure Ben did not go into shock by using diversion tactics. Ben couldn't move or be moved. Two of the other guys came looking for Ben and Ernie when they didn't return right away. When they found that Ben was hurt, they went ahead with all the other guys to go get help. Ben and Ernie waited for over an hour before help arrived, but Ben was so grateful and probably a bit delirious, he told Ernie he would name his firstborn son after him. Of course, Ben assumed his friend's name was Ernie, short for Ernest, all the years he had known him. When he found out that Ernie was short for Erland, he could not go back on his word. Thus, Earl's name is Erland. Earl enjoyed the story and told his birth mother he did have yet 2 more questions. Lillian was ready to comply with an answer to whatever questions remained. First of all, I have to think of what to call you. Why is my mama? That's her name. What do you want me to call you? Lillian had not thought about the question before. He always called her Lady. She wasn't too sure if she liked it because it seemed to be used with disrespect. I don't know. I have not given it much thought. If Y is my mama, would you like to be mother or maybe mom? Mother, it has a nice ring to it. Why don't you call me mother? Are you sure it's not too formal? Then call me mom. Okay, mom. Earl reviewed Lillian's expression. Lillian was so excited she chuckled while tears flowed down her face. She realized, as she cried, that she hadn't truly had a chance to mourn Bryn fully. She had vied so hard for the forgiveness and acceptance of Earl, and she was finally beginning to see that coming to fruition. Now she would be free to give Bryn's memory the attention it needed from her. One more thing, your house. I understand that people save their money and can build wealth over time, but you taught school, and Mr. Vince had a carpentry business and became an attorney later in life. It's also not a secret that he's not a great attorney. Your house and your ranch are a little over the top, if you ask me. How did you two do it, and can you teach me? Lillian laughed out loud. Well, first of all, it can be done. Some people are better with money than others. But the reality is that your birth father, Bentley, left a fortune to you kids and me. She told her son she held on to the jewelry business so that she always had an excuse to travel in order to make her way to Pecan Grove to see him. All business meetings were held in Lafayette, as to be within driving distance of the Grove. Vince never questioned it because it brought in so much money. I just sold the jewelry business 2 years ago, Lillian confirmed. It was too much work for me. Earl replied, Oh, wow, that's quite recent. How did you even know how to run the business? I watched your father. He and I communicated well together. He often bounced out ideas off of me about his business while he was still alive. He trusted my thoughts. That's so cool, said Earl. By the way, when you turn 21, you will inherit your portion. It would have been 1/3 of half, but now it's 1/4 of the whole because of Bryn dying. Nan gets a portion this year. I have also been giving Bobby and Wah funds from my income from the business since you were 13 months old. They didn't need help since the funeral home and the restaurant have always done well, but I wanted you to have it, so I insisted they take it. Bobby told me that he has saved every penny I have ever sent him. So, by living with them, you inherit more than your sister. You get your portion plus what Bobby and Watt invested for you. You're also their legal son, so what's theirs is half yours too. Wait, what? Yeah, kid, the way I see it, you're rolling in it. Erland looked over at his mom and said, You're kidding me, aren't you? Nope, you're filthy rich, my son. Starting out life knowing you have a safety net lends a certain level of security, doesn't it? Earl pondered aloud. And now I'm an uncle, too. Does that make me Brenton's rich uncle? Erland grinned a wide grin. Lillian smiled happily with her son. When the two arrived back at the funeral home, Lou went upstairs and told all the excitement that had ensued in Mississippi. She beamed as she reported the surprise of the baby's name and everything. Lillian held her arms as though she were holding an imaginary infant and said, "He's about this big, and his eyes are tiny slits on a wrinkly round face. Come to think of it, that baby has no hair. A little bald baby. A handsome little bald baby. I love him so much." She embraced the same fake baby she imagined was Brenton. Bobby and Wa laughed and congratulated the animated new grandmother, informing her how they could not wait to see this bundle of joy very soon. Erland remained outside. He lay flat on the ground under the pecan tree that had probably seen more of his relatives than he could ever imagine over the years. He thought no thoughts and wondered no wonders. For the first time in his entire life's memory, there was no reason to. All his questions had been answered. All his heaviness was removed. As he lay there, having his skin tickled by the breeziness that drifts through before a storm, one pecan fell from the old tree and conked him on his head. This was his reminder that what had transpired over the past year of his life was real. The end.